There's a total of 5 problems on the page you were given by the sub, page 209, and they're all division word problems. So I already know what math operation I'm going to do. Okay, what you're going to have to do is set up a tape diagram and solve the problem. So I'm going to model both number 1 and 2. All you'll have to do is follow along and copy down on your paper. And then for 3, 4, and 5, I'm going to let you get with a partner, sit somewhere with that partner, and then you and your partner are going to follow along with the video. The sub will pause it to let you work, play it again to make sure that you are on the right track. So for right now, you're just staying where you are, and you're just watching and copying down number 1 and 2 with me. So number 1, as I read it, I'm going to visualize in my head this story. Monique needs exactly 4 plates on each table for the banquet. If she has 312 plates, how many tables is she able to prepare? So, my characters, I have some girl named Monique. Awesome. Where is she at? She's at a banquet. So just imagine like a really big, beautiful room that they're going to have some sort of special event in. Okay, and in this big, beautiful room, she has 312 plates. And she's putting these plates on tables, and we know that 4 plates go on 1 table. So if you look at the tape diagram that's already been drawn for you, this 312 represents my total plates. And this 4, this is just 1 table. 4 plates can fit on 1 table. So that's the reason why the rest of your tape diagram here, it says ... question mark. We know that we're dividing the 312 plates into groups of 4, but we're not sure how many tables we're going to have. So I have 312 divided by 4. When I'm modeling these, I'm going to use our Big 7 with the fast, easy multiples. You can use whichever way works best for you and is the most efficient. So here we go. I know 4 times 100 is 400. 4 times 50 would get me 200. 4 times 20 is 80. 4 times 10 is 40. Okay, so 312. My closest multiple would be 200. How did I get that 200? Well, I multiplied the 4 by 50. I got to document that on the outside. Then I need to subtract. All right. What's closest to 112? 80 is closest to 112. How did I get the 80? I did 4 times 20. All right, I'm out of facts for my fast, easy multiples, but I should have my 4s memorized, and I should know what times 4 gets me 32. And that is 4 times 8 gets me exactly 32. So I have 0 remaining. I have to add up my partial quotients. 50 plus 20 is 70, plus 8 more is 78. So she is able to prepare 78 tables. If I went back and finished my tape diagram, I'd have to break this up into 78 parts, and they'd each have 4. So, number 1, she is able to prepare 78 tables. If the sub needs to pause it so you can finish copying everything down, my labeling on my tape diagram, my answer restatement, showing all of my work and my fast, easy multiples, the sub can pause it until everyone has copied that down. All right. Number 2, 2,365 books were donated to an elementary school. If 5 classrooms shared the books equally, how many books did each class receive? All right, so I'm picturing this in my head. I know what an elementary school looks like because I'm at an elementary school. So we can pretend that these books were donated to Simpkins and 5 classrooms, our class, Miss Sisak's class, Miss Lodi's class, Miss Larson's class, and Miss Cotty's class. We're all sharing these books. So this 2,365 represents my total books. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 equal parts. These each represent 1 class. I'm trying to figure out how many books did each class receive. So to restate that, each class received blank books. So again, we're sharing them equally, so we're going to divide. 2,365 divided by 5. I'm going to do my fast, easy multiples. 5 times 100 is 500. 5 times 50 is 250. 5 times 20 is 100. 5 times 10 is 50. All right. 2,365, the closest thing is 500. I'm going to subtract that, document how I got it. 5 minus 0 I can do. 6 minus 0 I can do. I cannot do 3 minus 0, so I'm going to have to do some borrowing. That becomes 13 minus 5. All right. So when I subtract 500, I'm left with 1,865. Again, the closest thing to that is 500. Document how I got that by multiplying by 100. I can keep going. So all you're doing right now is following along and copying. I'm about to run out of room. I'm gonna just scooch it over. It'll be all right. Okay, so I've done 100 4 different times. I'm gonna have to scooch it over. If I subtract 865 minus 500, I'm gonna get 365. The closest thing to 365 is now 250. Well, how did I get that? I multiplied 5 times 50. Okay, the closest thing to 115 is going to be 100. How did I get that? Multiplied it by 20. I'm going to have 15 left over. I should know that 5 times 3 will get me exactly 15. So I have a remainder of 0. I know this is kind of messy, so if you got lost in copying number 2, I understand. It's not a big deal. But number 1, you should have it copied perfectly. But if you got kind of lost in translation here, that's my fault. I made it kind of messy. All I'll be looking for is that you plug that answer back in, label your tape diagram, and show me these fast multiples, okay? So now I have to add up all my partial products. 100 plus 100, 200, 300, 400, 450, 470, 473. Each class received 473 books. Okay, the next step is going to be that you're going to get with a partner, find a desk, sit down with that partner, and freeze. While you find a partner, find a desk, I'm going to have the sub pause the video. And once everyone has found a partner, the sub will play the video, and I'm going to read the problem out loud to you and help you visualize it. So go ahead and stand behind your desk with your pencil and this paper. When I say go, find a partner and sub pause the video, please. Go. All right, so the video is playing again, which means you and your partner are sitting together. You each have your own page, 209, and a pencil. So here we go. I'm going to read number 3 out loud for us. If 1,503 kilograms of rice was packed in sacks weighing 3 kilograms each, how many sacks were packed? So my setting, it's somewhere where there's a lot of rice. So maybe like a big kitchen at a Chinese restaurant. Okay. And there is a total of 1,503 kilograms of this rice, and it's packed into sacks. So they're taking all this rice, putting it into sacks or bags, and each bag has the weight of 3 kilograms. So you're trying to figure out how many sacks were packed. I'm gonna ask the sub to pause the video, and I want you to do two things right now. I want you to create a tape diagram and label that tape diagram total, and then 1 sack. And I also want you to restate the question for number 3. So I'm going to zoom in on your directions for number 3. The sub can pause it here, so you can do that. Once every pair has gotten to that point, press play on the video again. All right, so your tape diagram should look something like this. You have a total of 1,503 kilograms. This is your total. And you're taking that total and you're dividing them into sacks that each weigh 3 kilograms. So this is 1 sack. It has the value of 3. So you should label that 1 sack. And then we're trying to figure out how many total sacks you're going to need. So the rest of my tape diagram is a question mark. You could have restated it by saying blank sacks were packed. Okay, your next step is going to be dividing 1,503 by 3. If you need a separate sheet of paper to do your work on, that's fine, as long as the final answer gets back here for me. If I were you, I would do the fast, easy multiple way. Where you know 100 times 3 is 300. 50 times 3 is 150. 20 times 3 is 60. 10 times 3 is 30. All right, I'm gonna have the sub give you about 3 minutes to solve this. And while those 3 minutes are going, pause the video. After the 3 minutes is up, we're gonna continue on to number 4. So go ahead, you have 3 minutes to solve this and plug your final answer back in. Okay, we're moving on to number 4. You and your partner should have solved number 3 and plugged your final answer back in. Number 4, I want you to try to visualize this as I'm reading it to you. Rita made 5 batches of cookies. There was a total of 2,400 cookies. If each batch contained the same number of cookies, how many cookies were in 4 batches? Okay, so picturing in my head, my character's Rita. She's making cookies, so I'm guessing my setting would be a kitchen. Okay, so what is she doing in the kitchen with these cookies? Well, my goodness, she's cranking it out because she made 2,400 cookies. And she made 5 batches of them. So a batch is like a group. So when she made these 2,400 cookies, she has had 5 different groups that she was putting in the oven. And each batch contained the same number of cookies. How many cookies were in 4 batches? So again, I want you and your partner to draw a tape diagram for number 4. And make sure that you label the total. And I also want you to label 1 batch, just like we did 1 classroom with number 2. And then I want you to also restate the question. But you need to be careful because this question is extra specific. It says, how many cookies were in 4 batches? So I'm gonna have the sub pause the video, give you a few minutes to create and label a tape diagram and restate the question, and then play it again to show you what your tape diagram and answer statement should look like. Go ahead and do both of these. All right, so your tape diagram should have looked something like this. You know there's a total of 2,400 cookies, so you should have labeled that number as your total. And that these cookies were made in 5 batches. So there's 5 groups 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. 5 different groups made up this 2,400. So just one of these boxes is one batch. They all have the same amount of cookies. And then restating the question, it was tricky. It's not just how many cookies are in one batch, okay? It wants to know how many cookies were in 4 batches. So, there are blank cookies in 4 batches. So, even though my question is asking me for 4 batches, this is a 2-step problem. Because to be able to solve for 4 batches, I have to know the amount of just one batch. She did not take these 2,400 cookies and only make 4 batches. She made 5. So, my first step, I have to do 2,400 divided by 5. That'll get me the number of cookies in each batch. And then once I figure out the number of cookies in each batch, my answer needs to be the value for 4 batches. So I'm going to take the answer from my division problem and multiply that by 4. So first step, 2,400 divided by 5 will give me how many is in just one batch. And then take that value and multiply it by 4 to represent 4 batches. So again, I'm going to have the sub pause the video. Sub, give them about 5 to 6 minutes to figure this out, and then we'll go on to number 5 together. All right, go for it, guys. Okay, number 5. Picture the problem as I'm reading it to you. Every day, Sarah drives the same distance to work and back home. If Sarah drove 1,005 miles in 5 days, how far did Sarah drive in 3 days? Okay, so if I'm picturing this problem, I see some girl, Sarah. She's in a car, maybe a truck, I don't know. Whatever vehicle you want her to be in, she's in it. She's driving to and from work. Over 5 days, so a whole work week, she drove 1,005 miles. Now, my question is asking, how far did she drive in 3 days? So again, we have another 2-step word problem. So what I want you and your partner to do, draw a tape diagram, label the total, label just one day, and then restate the question. So I'm going to have the sub pause the video, give you and your partner a couple minutes to do that, then press play to see the correct answer. Go for it. All right, so your tape diagram should look something like this. Your 1,005, that's your total miles. And she drove that 1,005 total miles over 5 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So I should have this labeled as 1 day. My question though, how far did Sarah drive in 3 days? So, Sarah drove blank, and I know the measurement is miles, in 3 days. So again, a 2-step problem. First, I have to take this 1,005 total miles and divide it by the 5 days. And then when I figure out that answer, this will give me the value of just 1 day worth of driving. I'm going to have to multiply it by 3 to show 3 days worth of driving. So again, the sub is going to give you 5, 8-ish minutes to get this done. When that time is up, the sub is going to collect this from everybody, so make sure your name is on it. And then you are going to be given page 211, which is an exit ticket to do by yourself. So the exact same thing. Drawing out a tape diagram, having an answer statement, filling your answer statement in, and the sub can read both of these aloud to you. But first, you're gonna finish up this page by doing number 5 with your partner. When that time is up, the sub will collect all of these, and you will be given your exit ticket to do by yourself back at your own desk.